Chosen one, someone powerful is low-key obsessed with you, not because of your status or appearance, but because your spirit just woke something ancient inside of them. You've always known you were different. You don't just fit into the world, you stand out. People have noticed your presence, your energy, and some can't look away. That's because you carry something sacred, something undeniable. This isn't just admiration, it's recognition. There are traits within you, hidden strengths and divine qualities that are shaking their view of reality. What you have can't be bought, copied, or controlled. And now, as the world shifts, the truth is becoming impossible to ignore. Your spirit was chosen to be a light in dark places, to awaken those who are ready to rise. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. You weren't sent here to impress, you were sent to activate. By the end of this video, you'll understand your role in this cosmic encounter and why your soul is rewriting their reality. 1. Wisdom that feels like remembering. It often starts as a quiet hum, an intuition you can't shake. You're not just speaking words, you're sharing something deeper, something familiar, as if the truths you offer aren't learned but remembered. Think about it. Have you ever said something and watched as the person across from you froze, their breath catching for just a moment, their eyes widening with a flicker of recognition? It's as though you're not just communicating a thought, but stirring a memory they didn't even know they had. This isn't about reciting facts or quoting sources. It's about accessing a part of the soul that transcends logic and reason, touching something ancient and universal. And when that happens, the people listening to you don't just hear, they feel. They feel the weight of your words in their chest, as if their spirit is nodding, saying, "Yes, this is true. I've known this all along." But what happens when that wisdom meets resistance? Many of the people you encounter aren't ready to remember. They've spent their lives building frameworks that make sense of the world, relying on logic and external validation to feel secure. When your words cut through those illusions, it can be deeply unsettling. They might react with skepticism, brushing you off with a casual, "That's interesting," or they might even push back, questioning how you know such things. It's not that they don't feel the truth in what you're saying, it's that the truth threatens to unravel the carefully constructed reality they depend on. For someone used to power or control, this can be especially jarring. Imagine a high-level individual who's built their identity on certainty, who's made decisions that have shaped industries or communities. When they encounter your wisdom, it's not just a shift in perspective, it's a quake that rattles their foundation. They suddenly find themselves questioning, "What else have I missed? What other truths have been buried within me, waiting to be uncovered?" This kind of encounter isn't random. There's a reason why your words have that effect, and it's not just about you being particularly insightful. Your wisdom is part of a larger pattern, a divine sequence that places you in the right moment with the right person for a higher purpose. Take, for example, the words of Amos 3 verse 7. "Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants the prophets." Though you may not consider yourself a prophet in the traditional sense, your ability to draw out these ancient truths suggests a divine calling. The wisdom you share is not new, it's the rediscovery of what has always been. Your presence is a reminder that these hidden truths are not lost. They've simply been waiting for the right person to bring them to light at the appointed time. When you start to notice the shifts, the subtle changes in how people respond to you, it's a sign that something is happening beneath the surface. Perhaps they begin to ask questions they never dared to ask before. Maybe their language softens, their tone becomes less certain and more curious. Or maybe they start showing up, not just to hear you speak, but to be near you, to sit in the presence of someone who makes them feel as though they're standing on the edge of something extraordinary. The signs may be small at first, a fleeting glance, a thoughtful pause, but they're undeniable. And for you, these moments are confirmation. They're proof that what you're sharing is reaching the places it's meant to reach. It's like watching ripples in a still pond. Each interaction, each word, creates waves that spread outward, reaching shores you may never see. There's something more at play here than just conversation or influence. What you're witnessing is divine alignment, a carefully orchestrated sequence of events that places you exactly where you need to be. Your wisdom, this gift of remembering, was never meant to sit idle. higher forces are clearing your path, removing barriers, and ensuring that your voice reaches those who need to hear it. What may have felt like random encounters or chance meetings are, in truth, guided steps. The struggles you faced, the doubts you carried, were not roadblocks. They were part of the preparation. They were the fire that refined you, the experiences that gave depth and authenticity to your words. Now, as the pieces come together, you see that every hardship had a purpose. Each moment of silence, of uncertainty, was setting the stage for the divine to work through you. Even as these shifts occur, you may still find yourself hesitating. Fully embracing your role in this process can be daunting. There's a certain fear that comes with stepping into your power, a resistance that whispers, "What if I'm not ready? What if I fail?" But remember, the signs are there, and they're not meant to be ignored. This is the moment where you move from recognition to embodiment, from seeing the changes to owning them. True transformation requires courage. Courage to trust the process, to let go of the familiar, and to walk into the unknown with faith. It's one thing to notice the doors opening. It's another to step through them boldly. This is the sacred turning point where you choose to align completely with your higher calling, to say yes without hesitation. And so, now that you see the signs and understand the divine forces at work, what will you do? This is your moment to step fully into your calling. Release the doubt, the fear, and the old patterns that no longer serve you. Your wisdom was given to you for a reason, not just to recognize it, but to live it. To be a living example of what it means to carry ancient truths into the present day. Let your voice rise, your actions reflect your faith, and your presence become a beacon for others. In doing so, you affirm not only your chosen identity, but also the purpose that has been woven into your very being. The next steps are clear. Trust the process, deepen your spiritual connection, and allow yourself to become the vessel you were always meant to be. As you reflect on all of this, let it anchor deeply into your soul. This is not just a moment of recognition, it's a moment of confirmation. Your wisdom is not an accident. Your presence is not a coincidence. This is divine timing unfolding, and your role is irreplaceable. Comment, "I remember," if this resonates with you. Embrace this moment, let it inspire your next steps, and know that the path ahead is illuminated by the very light you carry within. 2. You break the mold. You never intended to stand out, yet here you are. When people first encounter you, they often don't know what to make of you. You don't fit their preconceived notions of what a spiritual guide or teacher should look like. You're not cloaked in flowing robes, holding a staff, or speaking in mystical riddles. Your presence is refreshingly ordinary, and that's what makes it extraordinary. They come to you expecting the usual, someone who preaches from a pedestal or recites well-worn phrases, and instead, they find someone real. Someone who doesn't need to dress the part because the truth you carry radiates from within. It's not about appearances or titles, it's about the undeniable authenticity of your presence. And yet, this authenticity can also be unsettling. People have grown comfortable with certain patterns, certain symbols, certain ideas of what wisdom looks like. They expect sages to look otherworldly, to speak in ways that keep them at a distance. You break that mold entirely. You don't speak down to anyone. You speak from a place of shared humanity. And for some, that's confusing. How can someone so grounded, so seemingly normal, carry such profound truth? This dissonance between what they expect and what they experience with you creates a tension they can't ignore. They might try to dismiss you at first, thinking you must be a fluke or an anomaly. But over time, they find themselves coming back, drawn not to what you say, but to the way you make them feel. It's this very contrast that makes you so powerful. In Luke 5 verses 37 to 38, Jesus speaks of new wine requiring new wineskins. He explains that old wineskins can't contain new wine because they'll burst. Similarly, the old structures, the old expectations, can't contain the energy you carry. Your presence requires them to expand their thinking, to move beyond the rigid frameworks they've relied on. Like the new wine, you are fresh, vibrant, and transformative. You can't be poured into the same old mold, and that's why you've come now at this time. This isn't a coincidence. It's part of a divine pattern, a calling to be different, to stand out, to disrupt the old ways so that something new can emerge. The moment they realize they can't fit you into their previous categories, something begins to shift. They stop trying to define you and start opening up to the possibility that there's more to the spiritual path than they once thought. You may notice it in small ways. Their questions become more thoughtful, their skepticism softens, their curiosity deepens. They start seeing you not as a contradiction, but as a bridge, a way to connect the sacred with the everyday. This shift may be subtle at first, but it's transformative. They're no longer looking for a teacher who towers above them, they're looking for a guide who walks beside them, and that's exactly what you provide. Behind all of this, there's a greater force at work. You weren't meant to follow a pre-written script or to play a role that others expected. Your journey was designed to prepare you for this very moment. Every time you were told you didn't belong, every time you felt like you were too much or not enough, you were being shaped into something different, something necessary. These experiences weren't obstacles. They were the refining fire that stripped away the false and left only what's real. That authenticity is why your presence now carries so much weight. It's not about what you've learned, it's about who you've become. And who you've become is exactly what this world needs. It's important to acknowledge that stepping into this role isn't always easy. There's a vulnerability in breaking the mold, in defying expectations. It can feel risky, even isolating. But this is the moment where you're called to fully embrace who you are. To recognize that your differences are not weaknesses but strengths. There's a sacred courage in allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are, without the trappings or disguises that others rely on. By doing so, you create a space for others to do the same. You lead not by instructing, but by being, by showing what it means to live fully aligned with your purpose. Now that you see this, what's the next step? It's simple. Keep walking in your truth. Don't try to conform to what others think you should be. Instead, let your authenticity shine brighter. Trust that your unique presence is opening doors, not just for you, but for everyone you encounter. Each time you speak, act, or simply show up as your true self, you're making a profound impact. You're giving others permission to break free from their own constraints, to think differently, to live more authentically. The ripple effect of your presence is more powerful than you may ever realize. As you continue on this path, remember that it's not about fitting in, it's about standing out. You were never meant to blend into the background. You were meant to challenge the status quo, to invite others into a deeper, more expansive understanding of what it means to be spiritual, human, and whole. So walk boldly, speak clearly, and let the contrast you embody do its work. Comment, "I break the mold," if this resonates with you. Each step you take in authenticity creates a path for others to follow, and together, you'll help redefine what's possible. 3. Boundaries that command respect. It often starts subtly, almost imperceptibly. People begin noticing something different about you, not just in how you carry yourself, but in the unspoken energy you project. Maybe you felt it too. There's a shift in the way others respond to you, as if a quiet current of respect follows you wherever you go. You may not fully understand why, but you sense that something inside you has changed. The need for approval has faded. The old habit of seeking validation from others feels like a distant memory. Instead, you've come to trust a deeper, quieter knowing. You recognize what aligns with your soul, and you've stopped trying to force connections that were never meant to be. That realization alone has altered the way people perceive you, even if they can't quite put their finger on what's different. This newfound clarity, however, doesn't always come without challenges. In fact, it often emerges from a period of struggle, times when you felt misunderstood, overlooked, or even dismissed. You may remember moments when you gave your energy freely, hoping to be accepted or appreciated, only to find that it left you drained and unfulfilled. You might have encountered people who took advantage of your kindness or failed to reciprocate the respect you offered. Those experiences, though painful, were not without purpose. They served as a refining process, teaching you what feels right and what doesn't, helping you draw lines where lines needed to be drawn. Through that journey, you learned to distinguish between genuine connection and superficial validation, and that discernment became your greatest strength. It's important to recognize that this shift is not random, it's part of something greater. In Proverbs 4 verse 23, we're reminded, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." This passage underscores the importance of setting boundaries, not as barriers to keep people out, but as a way to protect the wellspring of your inner truth. By safeguarding what is sacred within you, you create space for deeper authenticity, both in yourself and in those who approach you. What once seemed like rejection or isolation is now understood as divine preparation. The discomfort you felt before was not a punishment. It was a prompt to rise, to become more discerning, and to step into the kind of presence that commands respect without having to ask for it. As these boundaries take root, you begin to notice the transformation not only in yourself, but also in how others engage with you. You no longer attract the same energy you once did. Instead, you draw in people who are willing to meet you at a higher standard, those who see you for who you truly are and who respect the sacred ground you've cultivated. You might find that conversations feel more meaningful, that interactions hold more weight, and that the relationships you form now come from a place of mutual honor rather than need or convenience. It's as if the very air around you has changed, subtly signaling to others that entering your space is an act that requires care and integrity. What's happening is more than just a personal evolution. There's a spiritual alignment taking place, a divine choreography that is rearranging your life for the better. The times you were overlooked or undervalued were not wasted. They were pivotal steps in preparing you for this moment. The struggles you endured were not arbitrary. They were part of a larger plan to bring you into alignment with your highest calling. The people who didn't treat you with respect taught you the value of self-respect. The doors that closed were clearing the path for the ones that were meant to open. This isn't about building walls. It's about cultivating a space that is so aligned with truth that it naturally calls others to meet you there. Still, even as this alignment unfolds, you might feel a tug of hesitation. There's a part of you that wonders, is it okay to say no? Is it all right to hold this space for myself? The answer is yes. In fact, it's more than okay, it's necessary. True spiritual alignment is not just about recognizing the signs, it's about fully embracing them. It's about stepping into your power without fear or doubt, knowing that what you're protecting isn't just your energy, but the sacred purpose you've been given. This moment requires you to trust that your boundaries are not selfish, they are essential. They are the markers that show the world you know your worth, and they invite others to rise to meet it. Now that you see this clearly, it's time to step forward with confidence. Release any lingering fear or guilt. Trust that your path is unfolding exactly as it should. Let go of the urge to explain or justify yourself. Instead, stand firm in the truth that you are worthy of the space you've created. Remember that by honoring yourself, you also teach others to honor themselves. By holding to your boundaries, you inspire those around you to do the same. This is how change begins, not by shouting or demanding respect, but by embodying it so fully that it becomes impossible to ignore. You are not just setting boundaries, you are showing others what it looks like to live in alignment with your soul. And so, as you continue on this journey, know that your boundaries are not limitations, they are invitations. They call others to rise, to meet you in truth and integrity. They remind the world that sacred spaces exist and that they must be approached with care. Comment, "I respect myself," if this resonates with you. With each step you take, you're not only transforming your own life, you're helping to redefine what it means to truly honor oneself and one's purpose. For you reverse the power dynamic. It's often subtle at first. They'll feel a shift when you walk into the room, but they can't quite put their finger on it. They're used to commanding attention, having others look to them for guidance or validation. But when their energy meets yours, it's as though the floor beneath them tilts ever so slightly. Your presence is steady, grounded in something they don't fully understand. And because of that, they can't help but notice. They start to wonder why they feel so off balance, why their usual confidence doesn't hold as strongly. They're used to controlling the narrative, yet around you, they find themselves questioning. They're no longer the center of the story. Instead, they feel themselves being seen, exposed in ways they weren't prepared for. This is not about intimidation. It's about authenticity shining a light on everything that isn't. For someone who's built their identity on influence, on being the one others rely on, this can be deeply unsettling. It's not that you're taking anything away from them. You're not here to challenge their status or diminish their achievements. Instead, your very existence acts as a mirror. When they look at you, they see the ways in which they've been hiding behind their position, using their power as a shield rather than a tool for growth. It's an uncomfortable revelation. In some ways, it might make them pull back at first, reluctant to face what's being revealed. But at the same time, it's magnetic. They're drawn to it, to the clarity and strength you embody, even as it challenges them. This isn't random. In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus says, "If anyone wants to be first, he must be the very last and the servant of all." Mark 9 verse 35. This reversal of roles, the idea that true greatness comes through humility, is exactly what your presence evokes. Those who are used to being first now find themselves in a position where they must confront their own humanity. Your alignment with a higher purpose shines a spotlight on what really matters: authenticity, service, and inner strength. And while they may have spent their lives climbing ladders and achieving titles, they're now beginning to realize that the most valuable growth happens not at the top, but within. Your presence isn't just a disruption, it's a divine invitation for them to rise into something greater. As this shift unfolds, it's impossible for them to ignore the signs. Maybe it shows up in the way they start asking you questions, no longer offering all the answers themselves. Perhaps they begin to linger a little longer in your presence, drawn to the calm certainty you exude. Or maybe they start challenging their own assumptions, reconsidering long-held beliefs that now seem outdated or hollow. These aren't dramatic changes, but they're unmistakable. The people who once led with authority now approach you with curiosity. They're no longer speaking to impress or control. They're speaking to learn, to connect, and to understand something they've never truly known before. What's happening here isn't just interpersonal. It's spiritual. They're not losing their power. They're discovering a new kind of strength. One that comes not from control or influence, but from authenticity and vulnerability. The shift you bring is not about creating winners and losers. It's about opening a door for them to become more honest, more aligned, and more willing to step into their true purpose. This isn't something you force. It's something you embody. It's the quiet power of someone who knows who they are, who has faced their own doubts and come out stronger. And that quiet power speaks volumes. It tells them, without words, that there's another way, one that doesn't rely on hierarchy or domination, but on trust, clarity, and faith. Of course, this process isn't always comfortable. For them, seeing their own vulnerabilities might feel like losing control. But in reality, it's a moment of liberation. It's an opportunity to let go of the masks they've been wearing and step into a more authentic version of themselves. And as they do, they'll find that the respect they once sought from others now flows more naturally. It's no longer about commanding admiration, it's about earning it through genuine connection. They'll begin to see that true power isn't about holding on to a position, it's about embodying a presence that uplifts and inspires. And you, by simply being yourself, have shown them what that looks like. For you, this shift isn't about proving anything. It's not about outshining them or taking their place. It's about holding your space with grace, staying true to your purpose, and allowing the light you carry to do its work. This isn't something you plan or control, it's something you live. And as you continue on this path, you'll find that the impact you have goes far beyond what you can see. The powerful figures who once saw themselves as leaders will begin to understand the deeper meaning of leadership. They'll see that it's not about titles or accolades, it's about serving a higher purpose. And in that realization, they'll find their own path to growth, guided by the example you've set. So, as you move forward, trust that you're making a difference just by being you. Keep living in alignment with your higher calling, and know that the ripples you create are reaching places you may never know. Your light is not only illuminating your own path, it's helping others find theirs. Comment, "I reverse the dynamic," if this resonates with you. And as they begin to rise to meet the standard you set, they'll discover that true power isn't about being in control, it's about being in alignment. 5. You are the bridge between two worlds. You're beginning to see it now, aren't you? The subtle but undeniable ways that your presence shifts the energy around you. You've likely noticed how people react differently when you enter a room. Conversations take on a deeper tone. People seem more reflective, more attuned to something greater than themselves. This isn't a coincidence or a fleeting moment. It's a sign. It's confirmation that you carry something unique, something extraordinary. You've been wondering why you feel so out of place at times, so different from those around you. It's because you're not just moving through this world for yourself. You're here to carry a divine light into spaces that have forgotten what it feels like. You're not just a participant in life, you're a catalyst for change. That sense of not quite belonging? It's because your purpose is bigger than you've realized. But carrying this energy isn't always easy. There have been times when you've felt burdened by it, moments when you've questioned why you were chosen for this path. Maybe you've even wished you could let go of the weight, blend in, and live more simply. The truth is, your role as a bridge between two worlds often means walking a lonely path. You've been tasked with bringing spiritual wisdom into places where it's rarely welcomed, where people may resist or dismiss it. And that resistance can leave you feeling disheartened. You've likely faced moments of rejection or misunderstanding. You've seen people close themselves off to the truth you're offering, choosing instead to cling to what feels familiar. This struggle isn't just external, it's internal too. You've questioned your own worthiness, your own readiness. You've felt the tension between wanting to help others see the light and not wanting to push too hard, fearing they'll turn away. But the challenges you've faced have not been in vain. In fact, they've been a crucial part of your preparation. Consider the words of Isaiah 49 verse 6, where God says, "I will also make you a light for the Gentiles, that my salvation may reach to the ends of the earth." This is not just a role for prophets or saints. It's a calling for those who carry a truth that's meant to reach beyond their immediate circle. You've been shaped by your struggles, refined by the moments when you doubted yourself, and strengthened by the times you stood firm despite the resistance. These experiences have been your training ground. Each challenge has prepared you to step into this role more fully, more confidently. You're not just walking through life, you're walking a sacred path that brings the divine into the everyday. And that path is beginning to unfold in ways you can no longer ignore. As you look around, you're starting to see the signs of transformation. Perhaps it's in the way people begin to confide in you, sharing thoughts and feelings they've never expressed before. Maybe it's the unexpected opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere, opening doors you didn't even know existed. Or perhaps it's the subtle shifts in your own perspective, the moments when something that used to feel daunting now feels like a natural next step. These signs aren't coincidences. They're the universe, God, or divine energy aligning circumstances to guide you. They're reminders that you are exactly where you need to be. The more you open yourself to this truth, the more these signs will become impossible to ignore. They are the breadcrumbs leading you forward, showing you that you are not alone in this journey. What you may not fully realize yet is that these shifts aren't just personal, they're systemic. As you step more fully into your role, the impact you have will ripple out in ways you can't yet imagine. You're not just helping individuals awaken, you're planting seeds of change in entire communities, industries, and systems. The powerful figure who first noticed your light was just the beginning. Through their transformation, the people they influence will also begin to shift. And through those people, others will follow. This chain reaction, this ripple effect, is the essence of being a bridge. You are not simply connecting two worlds, you are weaving them together, showing that the spiritual and the physical are not separate but profoundly intertwined. But before this transformation can continue, you must embrace it fully. This is the moment where you decide to accept your role completely. It's natural to feel hesitation. Stepping into a purpose this large can be intimidating. But consider this. By holding back, you limit not just yourself, but the impact you're meant to have. You weren't sent here to impress, you were sent here to activate. This isn't about winning their approval, it's about showing them a higher way. Your presence alone has started a shift that cannot be reversed. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to everyone who has joined our membership community. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. Keep walking forward, chosen ones. The world is waiting for you to shine.